the venture with those headphones, it didn't happen, but we did stay in touch. And last time, I think he was in Israel. I went to LA 2 times and I met him, and he came to Israel. And it was a fun experience to take him around here. In Israel also, he's a huge star. Everybody knows him.
Hey guys, if loose-fitting shirts are the disease, then this is the cure.
You're a disease, and I'm the cure.
I get so much hate for these shirts that I only want to wear them more. You gotta get tighter and smaller. But anyway, in today's video, this is a continuation of the talk I had with Doron, one of Van Damme's friends, and we're going to chronicle Van Damme's trip to Israel in 2016. We're going to give a little history on canon films, Menahem Golan and Yoram Globus. But the main focus of this video is Menahem Golan, before he unfortunately passed away, wanted to reunite with Van Damme and make a film. So we're going to talk about that, what that could have been about, and, you know, that whole thing. So anyway, if you like this kind of content, please help support the channel by hitting the like button, subscribing, sharing the video. And if you're into automotive stuff, make sure to check out Doron's YouTube channel. He is the #1 influencer in the automotive industry in Israel.
I love you so much.
I understand you have good taste.
What's your favorite movie of him?
Sport.
Really? Okay.
Can I
Go.
take a photo? A last photo?
Come. Hey, you can take a picture? Yes. So you held the lady.
Just send it to me.
Okay.
Thank you.
He wants your phone number. I know. You take a shot. Should be. He take a shot and then
لحوحة المحبة means in English لحوح Allah. It's the first brand man ever made. It's made from wheat and semolina. On top of it they put local cheese of fat with za'atar, olive oil, basil, tomato and onion. You can get it also spicy with our special hot sauce and our special vegetables.
And this is Yamani.
This is Yemenite dynamite. I want to say to you, my friend Jean-Claude Van Damme, it's a pleasure to have you here. I want to say that I loved your movie. You know why? Because it has heart in them. It has heart.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Jean-Claude Van Damme. לא שומע.
Ahava to all the Jewish people. JCVD.
You know, and that was my experience with JC. From time to time we talk. I help him, you know, with creative stuff on social media because this is what I do. Sometimes I give him advices, but he's very busy and you know, surrounded by many people and consultants and lawyers and this and that. It's hard to reach him.
Yeah,
but a great guy.
He has to be a busy guy, always traveling everywhere and doing different things. Do you know, by the way, if he's working on like another film or not?
No, I didn't talk to him for a few months. I'm sure that he does. You know, he's always doing something. There's something with him. I know that there are like 2 or 3 films that he already made and didn't come out yet.
Oh, really? Interesting.
Yeah. I forgot that he showed me like rough cuts when we were in Thailand on his laptop. I'm not sure how good they are.
Oh, okay, maybe that's why they're not released yet. I know there's one from like real quick. I know there's one from 2010 called Full Love, Soldiers, Frenchie, so many different titles. That never came out yet, man.
I think this one, that's the one I think he showed me. I saw like a shooting scene on this field. It was a crazy scene. I didn't really understand where it's leading to. Okay, you know, I don't know. Some of it, I didn't really watch all of his movies from you know, some point, because I felt like maybe it's not like it used to be before, like in the past.
Oh, the 90s, where it was at, man. The 90s was where it was at with Van Damme.
Exactly.
Late 80s, 90s, up until late 90s, basically. And he had a couple hits here and there, you know, couple hits over the last 20 years.
Yeah.
But weren't you trying to set up a meeting between the late Menahem Golan from Canon Films and Jean-Claude Van Damme? Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah. So actually, you could say I was trying to set a meeting, but I didn't really want to set a meeting because I knew it's not gonna happen. You know, I'm gonna give you the background behind the story. When I finished film school, I wanted, as one of my final projects that I had to bring, I wanted to make an interview with Menahem Golan about Canon Films, because Menahem Golan was the founder of Canon Films in America in the 80s, I think late 70s and the beginning of the 80s. Him and his cousin Yoram Globus, they came to America after being extremely successful in Israel, doing all kinds of very successful films in the local market, like Lemon Popsicle and all kinds of films that are called Burekas films in Israel. They really made it here. Like, they were the biggest names in the industry, which wasn't so big. And I think that they went to America in the late 70s and they started Canon Films. And it was a mix of a very creative guy like Menahem Golan, a dreamer, a big dreamer, and his cousin. He was the financial genius, you know, who a big dreamer is nice to have a big dreamer, who is very creative and wants to do crazy stuff. But if you attach to that a guy who is down to earth and knows how to handle business and
guy, sure,
the financial aspect of everything, it might work. And it worked, you know.
Yeah, it worked great.
It did work. They were a very successful duo in America, and they're responsible for Bloodsport and Breaking and American Ninja and Superman 4, which wasn't Superman 4. I think that it wasn't so successful, but
not that one.
They
so
made
much.
Not so much, but they made many movies. Some of them sucked, some of them worked and were big hits that made a lot of money. In Hebrew, we call it Shitat Matzliach. They worked in a different method than the big studios in America.
Yes, I will do the opposite.
Which made huge budget films. They decided that they won't make huge budget films. They're gonna make small budget films, but they're gonna make 40 films a year.
Wow,
and out of the 40 films a year, if 5 or 6 or 7 are gonna catch and become hits, they're gonna make profit that will cover for all the other films that didn't make profit. You know?
Sure.
That's kind of what they did, and I think Bloodsport was one of the films that Menahem and Yoram produced. That was one of the biggest hits that they did. And me, as a child who was growing up to that movie, I really wanted to get, to find Menahem and talk to him about JC, about Bloodsport, about everything, about Canon Films, about the movie making career here in Israel, which, all the biggest movies here in Israel, the biggest hits that we still see today on TV, they're made by Menahem Golan, and he was the guy to try and catch an interview.
Yeah, of course.
But he was old. He was like late 70s or 80, I think, something like that.
He was getting up there.
He was quite old and a little bit sick, I think, at that time. But I managed to get to him because he lived not so far from here, like 10-minute drive from my house. And I knew somebody who knew him, and I managed to have a meeting with him.
Oh, cool.
With Menahem.
Wow.
Yeah. And I remember I went to his house in Jaffa in Tel Aviv, and his daughter, she was living with him and was taking care of him. And I went to the attic, where he had his little office there, and I came and he had this desk with so many scripts on it, still many scripts and and posters of all the movies, that they made in the 80s of Canon. And, I got this crazy stream of, like you get this flash of information on your face, all the movies. the guy was, you know, the guy is a legend. And I'm not sure that his financial situation at the time when I met him was so good. But for me, it didn't really matter, you know, because I'm sitting in front of somebody who is a complete legend, you know, who is responsible
you're more excited about the work he's done. Like, who cares how much money he has at the end of the day? He either has it or he spent it or whatever, but like the output of work creatively that he produced, that's why we would remember him.
Or directed or somehow took a part in, you know, so many hundreds of movies, man.
Sure.
You know, and it was a great honor to sit with him. Also a very nice guy. You could see the spark in his eyes, even though he was an old guy. You could see the spark in his eyes. He was so, you know, wanted to make more movies and talking with me about this script and that script. And before I even said something about JC, he told me that he wants to get a hold of JC because he has this script for him. You know, you can see as somebody who is like with his feet on the ground like me, you know, in reality, you know, the guy is not gonna make more movies. You know, he's sick, he's old, he's in the end of his life, I'm sorry to say.
Yeah, but he's still got that excitement like a kid, man.
Spirit,
so that's
insane. Spirit is it was so intense that it really struck me. And I felt a little bit sad because, you know, you could see that our body, it gets old, you know, but the soul and the mind, it can
and the
be sharp.
spirit is still like very much alive and young and wants to do stuff. It is kind of sad, actually. It's depressing in a way.
Yeah. Me, you know, I was younger and I was so hoping that he's gonna make it and he's gonna get a hold of JC or whoever he wants and still make that final movie that he wanted to make. That was way before I met JC. But I knew Kamel at that time, and I did try to make a connection between, you know, Kamel. I tried to make Kamel and talk to JC. It didn't really work out. But later on, after I met JC in Thailand, Menahem Golan was, you know, in his last days. And when I met JC in Thailand, in the last day in Bangkok, my friend, her name is Hila. She was directing a movie about Canon Films, a documentary. It's called The Go-Go Boys.
Oh, sure. Yeah, of course.
Yeah. An amazing documentary. Everybody who's watching this video should watch this documentary. It's about Canon Films. There's another documentary called, I think, I forgot the name. There's another documentary about Canon Films, but they're like two of them, but The Go-Go Boys comes from a perspective of Menachem and Yoram, you know. They were a part of this film, a part of the making of the film. And while I was in Thailand with JC, I managed to squeeze to, you know, in the last day, I managed to interview him for the movie. I have a 5-minute interview of JC about Menahem Golan and about meeting him in that movie. And JC is like, he's sending in the interview his best regards and his big love to Menachem.
Menahem, I love you very much. You know this. Thank you again. Love from me, all my fans, my families, my friends. I love you. To you and your family too. Thank you.
And it was very surreal because Menachem passed away like 2 or 3 weeks after the movie. Yeah. So for me, as somebody small, you know, from Israel, like a kid who is responsible for taking JC's interview and making sure that Menahem Golan is sitting in the theater in Jerusalem in the premiere of the movie and seeing JC saluting him and telling him that he loves him and appreciates that he gave him the first chance. It was very exciting for me, and still is, you know, because I feel like that I have a little part in that last goodbye of these two, because Menachem did give JC the first, you know, the first
shot, man. Gave him a shot opportunity.
Yeah. You want to be a movie star? I'm gonna make you a movie star.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Wow.
And so I didn't manage to bring them together, of course, but I managed to have like a warm goodbye.
Yeah,
and
it's still
thank
kind
you
of
from
tied in together in a way, kind of a nice little way you wrapped it up, but and more involved, right?
תגידו משהו לבנדם באנגלית, מנחם. לבנדם.
Go, go, boys are coming!
Mr. Van Damme, I'm coming to talk to you in Hong Kong. I want you to star in the film Super Ninja.
Hey, did Menahem tell you what that script or movie was about that he wanted Van Damme to be in?
Yeah, it was called Kumite. He called it Kumite.
Oh, okay. They had promos
I
for
don't-
that, like in 2010. I remember seeing like promos. They were talking about Kumite.
I don't know. I saw a script. I saw that he had a script, okay, and he wanted JC for it. I'm not sure if the promos you're talking about are it's this. I'm not sure because I don't think it ever even came to production. But even then, when he said Kumite, and I remembered Bloodsport, I understood that it's probably not gonna really happen. I could see the dreamer talking to me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, still the excitement of a kid in an old man's body, man. That's interesting.
Exactly.
There is a lot of talk lately with Bloodsport again, Bloodsport Redux. Remember that really popular trailer came out and Van even shared it on his Facebook. In the next video, we're going to discuss what needs to happen if they ever do make a true sequel to Bloodsport to make it amazing. We'll also discuss Frank Dukes a little bit and also why Jean-Claude Van Damme is such an amazing, talented actor.